Well, it is recording as of now.
Okay.
Tom, how you doing?
Who?
Tom,
There, am I there?
you are here.
Outstanding. Doing well, thank you.
One, two, three.
Hey, Tom.
Is it started?
Did anybody need to use a password?
I did not.
If you use the direct link, Gary, you do not need a password. But if you use the meeting ID separate, then you do need a passcode. So,
That's what I think.
yeah.
Just on with Tom Bergen. He's having technical difficulties.
There's Heidi.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Such a somber group.
Oh, I would much rather be outside, to tell you the truth.
What was that?
I said I would much rather be outside. Actually, I suppose I could be outside, couldn't I?
You might be, and we can't tell because you have a fake background.
That's it. I take a picture of this and use that as my background.
That's right.
I don't have a good signal outside, so I'm in.
Kim is getting Mr. Bergen situated.
Hey, Gary.
Yeah.
In the last email you sent around, did you include the link? Did the board members get it?
It's in your agenda.
It's in the agenda that you sent.
Oh.
Yeah, it's in the agenda.
You may not realize it. Somebody opens it.
Who are we looking for?
Tom, it was a test to see. It was a test to see who reads the agenda.
Oh, dear.
You all passed.
Yay.
Heidi, you like my supply closet?
It looks very busy. There's a lot going on there.
It's horrible.
It's a good thing.
All right, he's getting in. Okay, I'll let you go. No, not yet.
But I'm trying to invite Cynthia to this.
Gary, can you see that Tom's trying to get in?
No. Oh, I'm
All
sorry.
right.
Yes. Yep, he was in the.
Okay. There's Cecily. Yep. Okay. All right. Bye.
He's out in the weeds somewhere.
All right, I just want to send an invite to Cynthia Young. She wanted to attend. Let me do that real quick. And that should do it. All right, I will open this meeting. Stand for the pledge. Find a flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the
Republic
Republic
stands
stands
one nation, liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
All right. As stated in the emails, public comment on the agenda, public comment will be held at the end of the meeting. Make sure we get through the business before bandwidth problems arise. First business, well, okay, reports.
Let Tom get in. I think he's still,
Okay, can you hear me now?
oh, yes.
Okay, we're good now. Okay, thank you.
We have a couple more people to admit. Superintendent report, they've been out mowing lawns. They'll be putting up mowing the parks. We'll be putting up a new tennis net soon that we have. And Bob, animal control and parking.
I've had one animal control call this month recently. There's been no tickets issued, but I've kept close watch on the ballpark. And as I related to the other day, caught someone in the action and got rid of them.
Okay, that's enough detail.
Okay.
Okay, Peter, treasurer.
So I emailed all the board members a few things for the meeting, the treasurer's report and also the trial balance. So you can look at the trial balance whenever you would like. On the treasurer's report, there are a couple of requests for resolution. I'm hoping the first one isn't confusing, but so it has to do with the adopted budget, the 2021 budget that we adopted last month. We need to re-adopt it this month. We'll call it the amended budget. This happened last year as well. I don't know if you remember. What happened is the appropriations and the revenues are still the same that we approved last month. It's just after entering it into our financial software that we use, it showed that it actually was imbalanced. So what we needed to do was add 6,000 onto our appropriations so that we could make it equal the revenues. So the changes that were made were in the A fund. I had sent also, that was kind of confusing what I sent you, but I sent you the cover sheet to show that the appropriations and the revenues are still the same from what we had adopted, but then the one page that we had to change the appropriations a little bit, oh, sorry, I showed you the wrong thing. The one page that we had to change just a little is the you can't see anything. The inter-fund transfers. So we just increased that $6,000, the two different lines, so that it's still the same amount of appropriations, still the same amount of revenues that we had adopted. It's just we needed to shove that $6,000 in there to make it balance.
My formula didn't pick up something, so that led to the fire department I had to change a couple things in the fire department, but on the whole, nothing changed.
Right. So if we could just adopt the amended budget, then we would be all set to move forward.
Are there any other resolutions regarding the budget, or should we just do that one item?
There's
Right.
just that one item, and then there's going to be one more where I need to do a quick transfer to pay Donovan, but other than that.
So I'll make a motion that we adopt the amended budget as noted by the treasurer and the mayor.
I'll second.
Discussion?
On a vote, Tom,
Yes.
Heidi,
You hear me? Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so the next resolution is just a transfer of funds. It's tree maintenance. The tree maintenance contractual expense account needs $2,950 to pay claims. The personnel training and conferences expense account has $6,270 of unused appropriations right now. So with this being said, I'm requesting that the board resolve to transfer $2,950 from tree maintenance from personnel trainings conference to tree maintenance contractual. I'm hoping at least one of you have the treasurer's report so you can read that. Do one of you have it? If not,
Yes, I do. I do have that.
Okay, perfect. So that's number 2.
Number 2, I see it, yep.
Yep, you can just read the part after where it says, with this being said.
With this meeting, okay, it is requested that the board resolve to transfer 2,950 from A 1430.4 to A 8560.4. Entries as follows: credit tree maintenance contract, 2950, and debit personnel trainings conferences, 2950.
Second.
Moved.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? Who?
I
Who's
seconded,
seconded?
and
That, okay.
yeah,
Discussion?
Tom?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
yes.
Thank you.
Beautiful. And that's it from me, except for the abstract.
I think if we're gonna do the abstract now, I think the last person to have it was Matt. I don't have the figures in front of me.
And it's on the bottom of the treasurer's
It's,
report.
it's on the bottom of the treasurer's report. I can see it.
It's 02873.
Yeah, I'll move to approve the abstract in the amount of $56,028.73.
And I'll second it.
Discussion?
Oh, Tom?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey,
Thank you.
Gary?
Yeah.
Can you, John Stevenson's trying to get into the meeting. Can you send him the last email that has the link, please?
Looks like a
1:10
new
p.m.
agenda with new meeting link.
1:10 p.m. is when I got it.
Yep, 1:10. Who's it going to?
John Stevenson?
I don't think I have his email or anything. Or I could send it.
He did get it. It was on. He was on that list.
G. John Stevenson 750 at Yahoo.
Yeah. Hey, Jess, can you
I sent it.
I'm
give
sending.
me the amount of the
Make it
abstract again?
multiple.
Yep. $56,028.73.
Okay, thanks.
So you got it a couple times. All right. Wireless library, auditorium, AP3.
Nope. Nothing going on there.
Okay. Under Veteran Committee, the Memorial Day Parade, I just got an update from Mick that I'll be sending out shortly. It's going to be a vehicle car parade starting at the ball field at 11:45. And I'll be sending that out later, tomorrow, probably later tonight.
Is it gonna be a little event, or is it just gonna be a kind of a parade?
Kind of a small event, certainly nothing of the scale that has been in the past.
Yeah.
My background picture is from Memorial Day in 2015. So there you go.
That's very nice, Matt, but I was curious about Paul's.
I'm in my safe room bunker that I built in my. I
2016.
think it's
It's
an
a
old
submarine.
airplane or something that I took a photo of once because I like the metalwork.
Okay.
I was going to ask you that. I recognize that it was an airplane.
Not the Enola Gay, is it? No, I don't think so. I didn't ask what its persuasion was.
All right.
Looks like the side of an old C-97 because I got time in them.
But
Never
it
thought
actually had words on it somewhere. I
Yep.
forget where. I
Bring
should
the
look at
gavel
it. I
down, Gary.
erased them.
Bring the gavel.
Oh, no.
Virtual gavel.
have to
Oh,
gavel.
no, has some words on it that I erased. I'll have to look back.
Oh,
John, let's get back on track. John, did you want to
you bring a chair?
give any update?
Okay. You have to come in the screen though.
No, just that meter is going. I've been working with Kimmy with that, and things are going good.
What's that, John?
I was just, your dad keeps appearing and disappearing.
It's weird. It's so weird. And he's so tiny. Look how tiny he is.
It's like a ghost thing. It's like,
I
there,
know.
and then it's gone.
No, things are going good. I've been working on the equipment, got the guys into the parks. I'm just here. I'm sorry, a little late. I had a little bit of technical difficulty there. I've never done this before.
Okay, that's it?
That's it.
Okay, Peter.
Oh, your signs came in.
Oh, good, good.
So,
We got some
What signs, John?
We got some signs for video surveillance
parks.
at the ballpark,
Ye- yes,
a couple others.
yes. So they're in.
Can we get the speed bump back on
Yeah,
Washington?
yeah. Yes, I
There-
will
there
have
are
the
a lot
guys.
less- There's a lot less traffic, but the ones that are there, this is like a drag strip.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'll have the guys pull them out tomorrow and go through them. One of them got damaged. That one got slightly damaged, but I don't think it's anything too bad. I think it'll be fine.
All right.
Yeah.
That might be helpful to get people used to slowing down again.
In fact, I'll try to get at least that one in this week.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, Peter.
Oddly enough, we have, in the past couple of weeks, I've issued 5 new building permits. Couple of decks, a finished basement, a permit to repair the curtain drain in Griffin's Ridge. And I have one for a new home in Griffin's Ridge. They've been busy. We have 5 houses under construction right now in Griffin's Ridge and 9 townhouses under construction up at Victoria Landing. Hopefully we resolve the curtain drain at Griffin's Ridge. We hooked it up to the stormwater system, and that seems to have alleviated most of the flooding problems in people's basements. So that seems to be working very well. We have one more issue where we have to dig up a backyard because there's a blockage in it. And we're just waiting on that. Other than that, that's it.
Is that just the one yard, the Barreck yard?
Yeah, it's Rick's yard is the only thing left. And I think he and Belmonte are butting heads about different things. So let them work it out.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it. Okay, under new business, we will be sharing oh goodness, that's not good. Because my connection is unstable. A proclamation of state of emergency. And Tom, I believe I just read this.
You do not need to read it. It doesn't require any action from the board. I think you just need to tell the board what you have done.
Well, I'll read the first. I don't recall. Did I send this around? Did we send this? Did you send this around, Tom?
I did not send it around. I sent it for your review. If you're happy with it, you might as well read it now. It's not very long.
Okay. Whereas the chief executive of any village in the state of New York may declare a state of emergency in the event of a disaster, catastrophe, or similar public emergency pursuant to New York State's Executive Law 24-1. And whereas the COVID-19 viral pandemic constitutes such a disaster, as reflected by the statewide state of emergency now in effect, and now therefore it is determined that the safety of the residents of the village of Round Lake, New York is imperiled by the 2019 novel coronavirus, and it is hereby proclaimed that a state of emergency exists in the village of Round Lake, territorial limits affected by the date of this proclamation, signed by the mayor of the village of Round Lake, and it is ordered that this proclamation remain in effect for 30 days, unless sooner rescinded or modified by the mayor of the village of Round Lake, New York, for additional periods not to exceed 30 days each during the pendency of this disaster. And it is lastly ordered that one of the quintuplicate originals of this proclamation shall be filed in various places.
Now, excuse me, but I don't know if everybody else missed that, but the final part of that, the essence of it, was all garbled. I didn't get it. I didn't hear any of it.
I thought Tom did a good job explaining.
What exactly?
The audio?
If just explain what the state of emergency is.
A state of emergency, it does not do anything in and of itself. What it does is it provides the foundation for the executive officer of a village or other municipality to then take certain actions. For example, closing a public place. No one's going to recreate in the park, or no one's going to recreate unless they have masks, that sort of thing. If there is going to be a change of a suspension of the local law, that's limited in time. The board doesn't have a role with respect to this other than to be kept advised that the proclamation has been made, which it has been. And if there are any orders that are made pursuant to the proclamation, then they need to be published, and I presume they would all be shared with the board members.
So excuse me again, but we didn't see this, and I don't have a real issue with it. But what we're saying is the mayor can declare an emergency for a period of 30 days. Is this like for any specific issue or any issue in general?
Well, the particular issue that we're trying to address is extending the time limit for paying sewer and water bills.
Okay, that's fine, and I don't have a problem with it. But then by voting to do this, do we give you more authority for other issues that we don't know about?
As I understand it, there is no voting on it.
There is no voting on it, and yes, he does have powers that he otherwise would not have. You had asked about what sorts of things can support a proclamation of a state of emergency. The language in the statute says, in the event of a disaster, rioting, catastrophe, or similar public emergency, or the reasonable apprehension of one of those conditions. And I think clearly the pandemic falls within that category.
I don't dispute any of it. And actually, I think the water and sewer bill issue is very important. I guess there's a little bit of me here that is saying, if I don't know in advance what, it's almost like Congress and the president. The president has certain executive powers. Now we're going to give those executive powers to the mayor, but the mayor, and Gary, I am not even implying that you would do anything like this, but we could give some executive powers to the mayor, and the mayor may use those executive powers in ways that are against the wishes of the board. The water and sewer bill, again, I'm not concerned about. But I'm just wondering if we would get any notice then if the mayor was going to impose some type of executive oversight on some issue, other issue.
Yes,
This is,
that is yes.
we have no say in this, right? These are existing powers, and you're exercising existing powers as far as and the board has no say in it.
Section 24C, if you want to Google it, section, 24C of,
I think you want 24A, 24 subparagraph 2. And that provides that if you do declare an emergency order, that it shall be published in a newspaper of general circulation and transmitted to the radio and television media for publication and broadcast. And I presume, as a practical matter, that it would also be posted on the cork board in the hallway we share with the post office.
And excuse me again for interjecting, but if this change, these executive orders involve zoning, codes, et cetera, would he be restricted to the 30-day thing, or would we have to go into our regular zoning code changes where you have public hearings and whatnot?
With the exception of a 5-day period in which the mayor can suspend a local law, and that couldn't be extended for another 5 days. Other than that, we would have to go through the existing legislative amendment process.
Okay.
So that if it's a question of keeping people from congregating in a certain area, that doesn't require anyone's permission, anyone's consent, but that is only valid while the proclamation exists. If the order is not of that type, but actually nullifies a local law, that's limited to 5 days.
Okay, thank you. Again, I'm not questioning anybody's intentions here. I just wanted to make it clear, or make it clear myself, what we were really voting on, or not voting on, but what kind of powers the mayor may have under these.
And I want to say one other thing. It's not in this law, and that is that one of the Governor Cuomo's executive orders provides that it specifically references this section of law and says that one of the things that the mayor can't do is something that involves the way the COVID-19 health emergency is addressed. So if he wanted to give a medication that hadn't been distributed, medication that hadn't been approved, he's not allowed to do that unless the New York State Department of Health vets that proposal and approves it. So that one category, he's not allowed to act in, even if the language of Section 24 might otherwise say that.
Okay, thank you.
Signed. Okay, so.
By the way, Gary, excuse me, but I know we didn't get those, or at least I didn't get those. Could you just send them?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Thank you.
Water sewer bills, deadline extension. Tom, we were going to discuss that in attorney-client session. End of the meeting.
I would like to have an attorney-client session, and we would be discussing that particular item, but the board can go ahead now, and you can discuss the proposal, and the board can make a determination of how long they would like that extension to last.
Okay, Kim, do you want to explain the nuances of? Oh, no, you're taking those. Normally, and just correct me if I say anything wrong, normally the payments are due June 1st.
June 30th.
June 30th,
Bills go out June 1st and they're due June 30th.
take over.
So the water and sewer bills go out on June 1st, due June 30th. But the state has said that we can extend the deadline due to the coronavirus and giving people a break, and we can extend it. But they didn't give any guidance as to how long that could be.
They did say we needed to declare a state of emergency, though, to do so.
We had to declare a state of emergency first, and then because we had to, I guess, Tom, that's what you were saying about not nullifying a local law, but sort of putting that through and disregarding a local law for 30 days. So maybe it is just for 30 days. Maybe we can just extend it for 30 days unless you extend your state of emergency. Maybe it's that.
If you're nullifying a local law, it's a 5-day limitation. But here, where it's been suggested by the state government that these penalties be extended, or the time period to pay before you have to pay a penalty has been extended, I believe that puts that authority in the mayor's hands. But I think the question of how long to extend that period of time was something that whether the board has the authority over that or not, at least will be beneficial to get everyone's thoughts.
Right.
Go around the table. Tom, are you still there?
My only question would be, if we extend the time period, and I don't have a problem with it, what does that do to our revenue flow? And how does that impact what's going to happen to us? In other words, if we're not getting revenue in June, but we're going to get it in July or August, whatever we decide, how does that impact our revenue flow and our needs through those periods where we'd be normally getting a lot of our revenue?
It should be just fine. It shouldn't impact it all that much, really.
Okay.
It's in the water fund, so the water fund's in good shape.
Okay.
And Jess, when does the large water payment go out? When do we pay the debt service on water? Do you have any recollection, like what month of the year it goes out? I can't remember.
That just went out not too long ago, I think.
Okay, so if that's the biggest chunk that goes out, then we can have a delay. That wouldn't be such a big deal. Okay.
Yeah, the water fund should be fine. Absolutely.
Tom, I don't think you commented on how long the extension should be.
I don't know what would an appropriate extension be. And I guess I would defer to Jess and Gary and Kim on it. I assume most people will probably pay their bills in the month they're due, but I understand that there's hardships involved with a lot of people. So I don't know what an appropriate, a 30-day or 60-day, I don't know. I defer to you guys on that.
Question, if we defer for an amount, say 30 or 60, can we revisit that later if we want to extend another month, or is it a one-shot deal?
It can be extended. It's Gary's call, not the board's call, but it can be extended. And I presume there'll be board discussion on that probably each month.
The other thing that I should have mentioned was there are penalties. Would those be waived?
Yeah.
Well, my thought, because we need to we'll be printing the invoices next week, so that's why this is so prescient. I was suggesting that so it's due June 30th. If we say you can pay without penalty up until July 31st, if you make in normal times, if you made a payment, say in August, you would have a 6.5% penalty. Maybe we just skip the 5% and go straight to 6.5 in August and get a free ride until July 31st, no penalty for 60 days. that's a suggestion.
60 days. So in other words, you'd have to pay it by August 30th.
No, July 31st, really, to not
So
have
that
a
would be
penalty.
only 30. That would only be 30 days then. I would prefer to suspend it for 2 months. I don't personally see, if anybody's suffering a hardship right now due to the coronavirus, I don't see that hardship being eased within, say, July 31st. And so I think if we're actually trying to help people through the hardship, I would prefer to see that suspended, the fees suspended at least through the end of August, which would be 2 months, I guess. That would be my suggestion.
I was thinking exactly the same, also because that takes you up to when schools would be starting. It takes you through the summer. And
Exactly.
we can always decide later down the road, but if our fund's in such good shape and doesn't matter if the money comes in later, I would say we give the summer for people to pay that in 2 months.
I agree. I think it's reasonable. The only thing I'll throw in, the monkey wrench I'll throw in, is that's when the school tax bills come due. But I have a funny feeling they'll make some type of accommodation for that. But regardless, yeah, I think 2 months is appropriate and hopefully helpful.
I think so too on the 2 months. I think we could also, when the bills go out, have some sort of statement with it that says that we are accepting payment, at the regular time, if you're able to do that. If you're not able and, would find a 1 to 2 month extension helpful, then by all means. And, these are the dates to do that, and that penalties will resume after that. But I think explaining that you can still do it now and it's still going to be due and, in the full amount. And this is, just buying you a couple months so that it's clear to people.
Absolutely.
One other thing is, I believe the federal taxes, state taxes were extended to sometime in July. Isn't that right?
July 15th. Yep.
So I think that another reason, I'm one of them. I owe money and I'm waiting to pay it. I'm gathering it. So I think that's another reason to do 2 months, because it gets you out of that. And I don't think the school bills come till early September. So if we slip in there in August, that would be pretty good.
The other thing I probably should just mention too is what happens if somebody sends in, they owe $400 and they send $200 in. We're okay with that, and we can handle all that.
We don't take partial payments. Everybody knows that.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
You pay fine.
I know, but I didn't know. I didn't know that was not allowed, for people.
Big no.
So we're saying 2 months?
We don't vote anything now, right? You said don't vote on this, right?
No, getting a sense of
Doesn't matter for discussion, and the decision is the mayor's.
So do we still need the attorney-client session, Tom?
I would like to have that, yes.
Okay. And after that, I will make a decision after that. I skipped over property tax bills, the ability to pay online in the Forte contract that you were all emailed.
Yeah, and I read I read through most of it. Is Kim and Jesse, you guys okay with that, with the cash flow and paying online and all the problems that may or may not come up with that?
It's fine. It's fine for me. I mean, I think people have been waiting for this for a long time, and I just wish we could have been doing it for water sewer as well, but they don't have the ability to. They can't give that to us yet. That product doesn't exist yet for us. But to be able to do it for tax, it's whenever it happens electronically and we touch it less you know, it's smoother. I think it'll work out easier.
Yes.
And I think with being at home, working from home and not really having people come in with cash is great.
Mhm.
So that's going to be a big help.
Good
And
point.
if people can pay online, you know, pay with a credit card, they don't have to come in with cash anymore. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
If I understand this correctly, the fee for someone paying their taxes is basic. If you do it online, it's basically $1.75. That's the most it could be, right?
I think that's for an e-check. I don't have the figures right in front of me, but there were different fees.
Yeah, for a debit.
$3.95 for Visa debit,
Oh, yeah.
$1.75 for the service fee pricing. So
I think it was $3.95. Yeah. I
So
believe that's right.
$3.95.
that's right.
debit.
I was off on $3.95.
There is no cost to the village.
No. Nor do we recoup any of the service fees. That goes to that Forte company for processing it.
It's purely a convenience.
So does this mean people will not be able to come in with cash if they prefer?
We're going to have to put that on the bills as well, that we can't take a cash payment at the office.
So what if people don't have credit cards?
They're going to have to do it with a money order from the post office and mail that to us.
Okay.
So I think I'll have to put together in the letter that talks about the extension. That'll be for the water, and then there'll have to be a separate letter for tax stating, you know, these are the new guidelines. This is what we can and cannot do. So, you know, if you used to pay in cash, you're going to have to do money order from now on. I'll have to, you know, craft up a more concise letter.
You can conveniently get a money order just across the hall.
Right.
That's fine. You just got to spell it out for people that don't have a credit card. You know.
Right.
But people
Well, they can still
can
send
mail
a
a
check.
check.
I mean, most people pay by check. I'd say about 10 people in the village pay by cash. And I think it's just a convenience thing for them because they happen to have, you know, cash.
So paying by check is still fine. They can mail that in.
Yes.
So they can't bring that by hand to the office. Is that what you're saying? Can they
No one's there, so they can slip it under the door. We'll get it, or they can mail it.
Right. But I mean, if the office had reopened, that's not really, doing this doesn't preclude you taking a check at the office, right?
Right.
I just want to make sure that people who don't have a credit card or a checking account can pay in some way, and that it's clear for them to do it, because that might be very embarrassing to someone who doesn't have either of those things and would still like to pay their bill. And
I know I have two people who pay by money order who I think probably don't have either of those things. And, you know, I could even just reach out to them personally and say, this is how we're doing it. I know you get a money order and then you walk across the hall. From now on, just mail it to us, kind of thing.
Right.
I think the people who pay in cash, I think they have all those other things as well. Their business is cash, so they're giving it to me.
This just represents an additional option for the taxpayer.
Fine. Well, it doesn't actually, because it can no longer bring in cash. So it's that we are getting rid of an option. So I just want to make sure people know what to do, and that, you know, that there is some way they can still do it conveniently without cash.
I guess that's my error. We have accepted cash up till now.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that.
I don't like that anyway, so I didn't know we did.
It's just the social worker in me. I think some people need to have that option, that's all.
No, I think you're right on that for sure.
So authorized to sign this contract?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Tom, vote.
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Gary, sorry.
Okay, next is proposal to amend Chapter 83 of the local law to eliminate the prohibition of dogs in Pascarell Park. And we'll need to set a public hearing for that.
Can you give me I've forgotten, can you give me a short paragraph on what that means?
What it means is currently dogs are allowed in every park in the village except Pascarell Park.
Okay.
That doesn't make sense to me, so I'm proposing to eliminate it.
So you need a motion to set a public hearing?
Yes,
So I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for June 17th, 2020 at 6:45 p.m. to discuss the change to the local law regarding dogs in Pascarell Park.
Second.
Discussion?
Vote, Tom,
Yes.
Heidi,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Gary.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought it said 6:30 on the thing we're doing. We're doing this at 6:45?
I just put that in. That's fine.
I think we
6:45 is
I think we
fine.
could do it at 6:45.
Yeah.
I've drafted a local law. Could you circulate that to the board?
Yes.
I think I sent that already, but I'll recheck. And next is, we got the bidding documents, which I sent to you for your review, all 400 pages of them. We are set to begin bidding. The ads, required ads went into the Gazette on May 8th. So bids should be coming in, and I'll check with Mike Harrington to check the status of that. And opening the bids around June 8th. This is for the spray aerator, the water project.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I sent that to you as well.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
All righty, and that is it for that approval of minutes.
Is that what we're doing next? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, of the April 15th, 2020 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Vote, Tom,
Yes.
Heidi,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Gary.
Approval of abstract was done already. Village attorney, do you have anything?
Nothing other than the executive session. And I thought we were going to have some discussion about what to do with chickens being raised and
Not,
now prohibited.
not yet. We're ways away from that.
Okay.
Village mayor, that's me. Mentioned Memorial Day. We got the annual water quality review, which I believe I emailed to you. It should be posted online. And the short story is, in the last year, there are no violations. And we have Cynthia Young, our Malta town rep, with us. If anyone has any questions for her, or you'd like to say anything, oh, there you are.
Well, first I'd like to say it's really nice to see everybody. So it's hard not seeing people. I have a couple of things before if you have questions. First of all, the town has masks available. They're Saratoga County. They're from the county. They're white cotton with a copper and silver lining out in them. So on the outside, what touches your face is cotton. But then Gary, after I saw you today, I thought, do you want me to bring a supply down to you? I could probably grab some and so you guys can
Yeah.
have them available. Yes, okay. I'll bring some down tomorrow. But they also are available at Town Hall.
Text me beforehand so that I can meet you here because we're closed.
Oh, because nobody's there. Okay, I will. Also, just this year, we are having everybody should have gotten a notice. Rather than the town-wide refuse pickup, we are having available times when there'll be large roll-offs at the town complex, and residents can bring their refuse there. You got to bring your own muscle, I was told the other night, because it's getting it on and off of your own truck. Those dates are June 6th and June 13th. There's more information on the town website, malta-town.org. Parks are open. No playgrounds are open. And we're discussing about summer programs. We have canceled our half-day, our very popular half-day summer rec program, unfortunately, but we're trying to discuss options about trying to find things for other kids to be able to do. The only other thing on my list here is, I don't know if you're aware that, well, you probably are aware that our water project failed, of course, for the Maltaville area. And the town got $200,000 from Stewart's as part of a public benefit for the PDD for building the Stewart's down there. We, of course, didn't spend that money on the project because the project failed. So we are offering grants to the people in Maltaville from that money. They can apply for work that they've had done to improve their water quality anytime after, I believe, Tom, was it March 1st? Do you remember, Tom? I believe it's March 1st. If you had worked on it for March 1st, you can apply for a grant and receive a reimbursement for money you paid. I think that's it. But again, more information on the town website, or you can call the town clerk's office. All the offices in the town complex are staffed. So there's people there. It's by appointment only. You can't just walk in, but you certainly can make a phone call. So if you know people in Maltaville that are going to do work on their water systems, let them know. We have that available. Anybody? Anything?
Cynthia,
I can answer for you?
Yeah, I was going to ask about grievance day. I've gotten. Am I on mute? Oh. Cynthia, can you hear me?
No.
Yes,
I was wondering if you could talk about.
So, it's my understanding. Yeah, it's by appointment only. In the past, you've been able to go in and sit and, submit it. They're recommending that you submit your paperwork in advance. Of course, always they want you to talk to the assessor and hopefully get some sort of stipulation. But they are making appointments and are going to practice the social distancing. So on grievance day, you can't just walk in. So if people are asking, make sure they call Ray Lynn, the town's assessor, the assessment office, and make an appointment. And they'll make as many appointments as they need to.
Is it next Tuesday?
It is next Tuesday. Yes.
Okay.
Wow. It's hard to believe how time flies when you're sitting home.
Why not?
Yeah, the state has not changed grievance day.
Thank you.
Anything else from anybody that I can offer up?
Somebody wanted to make an appointment. Where would they find that on the website? Is it under assessor's office?
Assessor's office. I'm pretty sure you have to call the assessor's office to actually make an appointment. But yeah, look at the town website.
Yeah, I spoke to Ray Lynn about it, and she gave pretty extensive details about making the appointment and what to bring to prove your case, etc.
It's it's a process that a lot of people are really afraid of, but it's you're really just presenting your case in front of other residents, you know, other people that own homes in the town of Malta, and it's a good group, a friendly group, so. And I know there were quite a few notices of change that went out, so
Have the
you
option
may have.
of an informal meeting with someone from the assessor's office, and generally the assessor. And I think if you're planning on grieving your assessment, that informal meeting can go a long way to let you know how to present your
Yes,
to the three-person board.
he's right, because the town assessor, first of all, the assessor's office is very helpful. I mean, they basically will give you everything you need to grieve your assessment, so.
Be ready to compromise.
Yeah, you're right. It is a compromise. Anything else I can answer for anybody? I've got my grandbaby trying to FaceTime me, so I'm probably gonna sign off on you.
All right.
Love
Thank
you.
you.
Love him more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah.
joining us, though.
Yep, and as
Thank you.
always, if you ever want to contact me, please do. So my cell phone number is on the website.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
Hang in there,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Two.
Okay, village trustees, comments.
Yes, two items. One is, I had a question from a resident, and I don't know if that question made it to Gary. I encouraged the resident to send it. The question was regarding the kayaks rack down at the end of Maltaville Road. And it was kind of a multi-part question. It was, how long is the village contract with that outfit? The other thing is, do we get a cut of the proceeds from that? And thirdly, I guess it was kind of like a semi-complaint, but I'm really not sure, that there was an awful lot of people down there the other day, and doesn't the kayak rack add to the congestion down there?
First one is, I may be wrong on this, but we've got to check the contract, but I think it was for 1 year, then we were going to review it.
Good chair.
So I'll dig that out of the vault and see what the terms are. Second one was, no, we don't get any cut. Third one is, you know, I go by there a lot on my bike, and it's never overly crowded. There are cars there, but
One of the things I was curious about and related to this was, don't we own a piece of that road down there?
yes, that is our land.
Okay, up till Go Foot or just before?
Well, that's an interesting point. We don't
Okay.
follow it, I don't think.
Yeah, it's not critical, because I know Doug Harple is in Malta, but on the other side, there's some village property.
That little piece of his property is village property, yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. So that's not a big issue, but I that was brought up, and I was curious about it. There was another thing, and this is not related to our soon to be or maybe never chicken issue, but you know, I do know that there are a couple of people, at least in the village, that keep chickens in violation of the law. And I don't know how far I want to go in naming those people. I certainly have to name them by name. But I know of two. Neither of these households meets the 2-acre requirement. And in fact, one is, I think, which I can see it. I have seen it. I think the animals are abused. They have a few chickens, but they're kept in a very, very small pen. And I just think that there's an issue here beyond our 2-acre issue or limit. It's a animal cruelty issue, and setting aside all the other stuff you might talk about, shouldn't we be obligated to, send somebody over there and check that out? And if those people are abusing animals, or they're penned up in such a way that they're restricted or something. I mean, we ought to do something about that.
All right, you can send the names to me via email, so
Okay,
I don't have to do it now.
okay, all right, thank you.
That's it. Heidi.
I didn't realize that Adrian was here when I said before, well, we'll go past the auditorium because there's nothing going on there. But Adrian, did you want to say anything about what, where things are at?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I have more questions than I have answers. I know from my conversations with Kim that, you know, work is still being in progress as far as the floor goes and, you know, the seats go. And I know that, okay, so this isn't auditorium related, but it's like performance space related, that SPAC canceled their entire season for the year. That's a big facility. And so I wanted to maybe, and I don't know if this is the right time in the agenda, but to put forth the idea if that we could create an opportunity where individuals might come in to, say, play the organ or do something like individual, and we would sort of keep, you know, programming alive in some way, like within the space. And I just, you know, that's that. And also Scott's here. Scott. Hi. So I talked with Scott about like, what could we maybe do so we don't sort of like die on the vine, you know, in the season, but keep people who are interested in performing, but not necessarily bring people to the space, but use the space in a social distancing way, where we could still, you know, keep something vibrant in that way. So I don't know. It's not a totally clear thought, but those are just ideas. And I would very much appreciate, you know, the opportunity to be thinking creatively, because there are a lot of people that are doing that. Cafe Lena is doing that, and that's way tinier than the auditorium. So I don't know. Anyway, just throwing that.
I had wondered, would there be people interested in doing some, using the stage and without an audience or with an audience outside, you know, it just providing music, but it wouldn't be very face-to-face. Do you think that would be an interest in that kind of thing?
Well, there is actually. So Betsy Fuller reached out. She had some very interesting ideas. I mean, we've got an organ in there, and I don't know, what I don't know is, like, when we tune the organ every year, does that also come with a managing of the organ, like cleaning it out and making sure that it's, you know, safe, you know, from weather or time or use or whatever. You know, somebody could certainly play that, and we could have people maybe outside or even record it from inside. I just feel like it would be very sad to not take advantage in a creative way, in ways other people are, to use that space. And, you know, whether it makes money or not is not the thing to me. That would be nice, and I'm sure we can figure out a way to do that. But I think moreover is to kind of just keep it going. So
so did you want to present a couple ideas, or what did you want us to do? Did you?
So I can put forth some ideas. I mean, Scott and I have had some discussions recently, like just recently, you know, Betsy and John, you know, in the neighborhood, in the village, you know, came up with some ideas. So I can pull those things together. And I think that it would be sort of fortuitous for us to sort of consider that. And whether, you know, it means that there's an audience or not, we can still do things creatively in the space, presenting things in the space, and I'm happy to put, something together to share for consideration.
So the next board meeting is June 17th. Is that okay or too late, or what do you think?
No, I think we're living in an altered state, so I don't think that's too late. I think that's a good time. I mean, this is the first time I've jumped in, and I've certainly had just kind of ancillary conversations with people, and I think there are opportunities, and I think that's a perfect time to, spend the time to, come up with, ideas and present them, because, June has always been kind of a weird month, and July, I don't think Carpe Diem is going to do their theater there. So, and we're waiting still on work for the floor, on the floor, right, Kim? Obviously, the floor and the chairs, and so there are interesting opportunities that could happen. So, long answer to your short question. I think, yeah, June's great, and I can come up with some
options. And just know that when they are working on the floor and they're grinding that cement, that the organ is going to have to be taped off and sealed off in some way to keep that stuff from sifting. So all these things, are going to interact, affect each other. But I think
yes.
It'd be great to hear some ideas.
Yeah. Thank you.
On that note, I was speaking with Matthew at Andover today about coming to repair. So I kind of shared with him that we probably would not have a program for the organ this season. He still suggested that we have repairs done. We need to keep up with maintenance. So I think, Adrian, that would answer your question about making sure nothing's getting in it and it's kept clean. So that is part of what they do annually, and they would like to come and do that this summer. So I said that we would like them to come and do that. I did want to check with all you guys about tuning, if that made sense or not. He didn't think it made sense if we weren't going to have a program per se. I think those two things combined cost upwards of like $2,500 to have it fixed and tuned. He also he was also sharing with me that he's part of an organ society out of Methuen, Massachusetts, I think he said, and they're doing organ concerts there, and they're live streaming them with nobody there. And it's apparently, according to the organists, that's the perfect way to play with nobody there. So that's an idea too. No audience, no chairs. I don't know, maybe we should get it tuned.
So is it okay to jump in now?
Yeah.
I think that's what we're talking about. I think there are interesting opportunities to do that. And especially, like the organ is such the thing about the auditorium, right? So, if the money is already there in the budget, as it has been in the past, then if there's an opportunity to spend it in the right way and create an opportunity for use and people to appreciate that, I think that's worth a lot. If only that, and I would advocate for that. And so I don't know what I don't know, but I do know that it would be really sad to have nothing happen in that space musically. And if it was only the organ and something around that we could create, that would be beautiful to share. There's the people are doing the bells at the church, and that's, resonating with the community. So I don't know, I would like that conversation to continue and to maybe come up with a plan that might make sense budgetarily, and then, with how we want that to look. And then if there are other things that could happen in that space, I mean, there are people having those discussions. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul?
Nothing for me.
Matthew?
Nothing for me.
All righty, village trustees. Moving on to public comment. We will entertain public comment now. Please try to hold it to 2 minutes maybe. I'm still getting
This is Andrew.
unstable, my unstable connection here and running on borrowed time. All
Can I
right,
speak up? Do I have 2 minutes?
Andrew, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Let me just. Can I share my screen, please?
Sure.
It'll help explain my concerns. So if I have 2 minutes, I'll just go through this presentation I prepared
I don't see you,
very
Andrew.
quickly.
We don't see you at all.
I see nothing on your square. I haven't seen you.
No, it
except for your
says
name.
that host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, I,
Yeah, but I mean, we don't see you at
Right.
all.
your video's
Yeah, I
not,
need to.
You know, you
I
were
like.
sharing your own video.
all right, I must not have
No,
enabled it.
no, I'm not showing any video. I just need to share my screen, my laptop screen.
Gotcha.
I must have not enabled it when I set up the meeting. 'Cause I can't change it in the middle of a meeting. I'll make a
All
note.
right. So anyway, I have 2 minutes. I wanted to talk about what happened, what I observed about a month ago, and it was 5 days before the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and I noticed a large tree being pushed, knocked down on village property, and I'm actually quite concerned that this can happen on village property because, as far as I'm concerned, as a citizen of Round Lake, that's my tree as well as everybody else's. But we can't just have trees being knocked down. And it would have been nice if I could show you the picture of the area I'm talking about. But, you know, like I was actually quite impressed with the village website, the Round Lake website, showing the massive trees in the background. I mean, it's amazing to see that. And, you know, Round Lake is supposed to be the little village in the Grove. But, you know, I look around Round Lake now and I don't see this at all. And I can understand why, because there seems to be a lack of concern about the environment in general. And, or, I mean, for some, but I'm sure a lot of us would like to preserve trees within the village of Round Lake. And I'm actually quite concerned about this. So I started looking into the laws, and there's a clear section, chapter 158. Unfortunately, it's titled Subdivision of Land of Village Code. But if you read further, it actually says this is the Village of Round Lake Land Subdivision Regulations. And it clearly talks about the preservation of natural features, which trees would fall under, and that the removal of trees is the subject to the approval of the planning board. So unfortunately, large trees are being knocked down in village property without the subject of approval of the planning board.
All right, Andrew, thank you. I've explained this to you at least 5 times, that subject does not apply to village land. It applies to people who are subdividing their land and trees on their property. It does not apply to village land.
I understand your viewpoint, but the law is pretty clear about this. It says that it's the Village of Round Lake subdivision regulations.
I don't know how many more times I can explain this to you.
You can put it in writing.
I did.
You can put it in writing, and I asked Tom Peterson to put this in writing.
I put it in writing to you at least 5 times. I just filled out the form.
No, you guys won't put this in.
So let's move on to the next person, please.
Can I talk?
Paul?
Can I ask a question? I'm just curious because Tom is here, because I've seen the emails. Tom, was it your opinion that what Gary's saying is accurate, that law regards property owners, not village land, just so I clear that up in my own mind?
Yes, I spent quite a bit of time with Mr. Liu on the phone, explaining that that is my interpretation of the law. In fact, I think it's pretty clear. And the decision as to what to do with trees on village property is up to the village.
The planning board.
And with this form of government, it is the
Please
mayor.
don't interrupt. Just to recap, no trees are taken down without my express approval or permission. If you don't like the way I'm doing it, and you may have a legitimate concern, and that's fine. The way to remedy this particular complaint is, to be honest, in November at the ballot box. Vote for somebody else, somebody who will, I don't know what, but when I
That care about the environment more?
when I became mayor, I said no trees will be cut down without my express permission, and I've kept to that.
But you don't have the authority.
Who is next, please?
Planning boards.
Scott.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I know we've touched base on the demolishing of the building at the ballpark. Do you have any other? I know you talked to somebody about having it taken down, and is there anything that I can do to speed this forward, or can we just, is it already been in the process?
I had tried to bundle that in with the pavilion that we had talked about putting down there.
Yes.
But, looks like we may have to scale that back and just look at just taking the structures down. So we should have money for that, and we can probably get approval for that by next meeting.
Okay. Sounds good. As long as we're not forgetting about it and we can move forward and get it done.
They've got to come down, those two things.
It is as far as the grant money, and I know I talked to you about you had ideas of building a pavilion. Is that something that's got to be coming up, and is that something we're going to talk about this year, or we're going to try to push it to next year? Or
there's been discussion on the board about it, and we will continue discussing it.
Okay. Well, very good. I think you're doing a great job, Gary. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott and Danielle.
Thank you.
Okay, any more before we go into attorney-client session?
We have one question. We're looking into buying a home.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you too well.
Oh, sorry. We're looking into buying a home on the corner of Burlington and Saratoga. And I've talked to the DPW and the building department, and they had indicated that there was an engineering plan as far as the drainage issues and possibly sewer drainage going in there. And I was wondering what the possibility of that actually happening is going to be. It's a big deterrent to buying the property right now because it has pretty big water issues in the basement right now.
Burlington and Saratoga.
Burlington and Saratoga.
Yeah. It's the blue house.
Yes.
That's abandoned currently. I adjoin that. And I can't address some of the things you're talking about, but I can tell you over the years, there have been big problems with drainage. That lot, actually it's two lots.
Right.
And it's kind of like a sponge, but a lot of the water runs west to east across the road. And there have been drainage issues there. And I think if you've investigated it, which you obviously have, historically, the basement is a flood zone pretty much.
Right.
It can be remediated.
Yep.
But that's the question. How do you do it?
Right. Because right now, the only way to do it is to pump the water into the public sewer, which you can't do, or to pump it into the street, which you can't do. So there's no real way right now to get rid of the water as far as I know. And is that, I guess my question is, does that fall onto the property owner's responsibility or the town's responsibility or somewhere in between?
Peter, you want to hop in?
You're muted, Kim.
Yeah, we looked at that issue. I spoke to the current owner about, the only way to resolve it at this time, we got an estimate on what it would cost to do the drainage there and a couple of other places in the village, and it was pretty exorbitant. So I didn't see the village moving towards doing the drainage, running drains. And the only way to solve that issue would be to bring fill in for the back. The problem is the yard, the side yard. But that would only probably send more water out to the street again. It's been a problem there. It's been a problem there for 20 years.
I think the question was, do we have any engineering information in the village office regarding that property? Have we done any studies that touch on that we could share?
I think we had Lamont Engineers I believe, John, am I correct? Is John still here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Didn't Jason come and look at that intersection?
We
I don't know if
did.
he gave us a report. We could ask him if he
did.
Okay, my dad says he did. Maybe we could see what he wrote up.
The next step.
2 years. Yeah.
The next step would be approval of the board, basically, to proceed forward and maybe have Lamont Engineering give an estimate of what it would cost to do that. I'm not sure if that is on that paper or if it would have to be updated, but that would be the next step. And then you could look at the cost and see if you wanted to proceed.
I think he gave us an estimate for that and some work going down Saratoga Ave.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah,
Over on
we did
James
several
Avenue.
locations.
And it was so expensive, I basically said, forget it.
Yeah, it was very expensive. It was a number of projects.
Right. We could single that one out, or at least this week or something, we could get together. I don't know, Kimmy, I believe that information's in the office in the back room, and we could see if it's broken down. And if not, I believe it is. Each project is broken down, and look at that and see if it needs to be revised or not. What we need to know is if the board wants to pursue it and go further.
And I would just add, John, if there's a public benefit for alleviating a lot of the drainage issues over it, it doesn't affect my property really that much at all. It would under certain circumstances when you have those giant rains and 100-year, 50-year floods. But if there was some plan, if we knew, for example, like Nancy Harple or the people on the other side, Jimmy, or the other people in a little cottage there across from the garage. I mean, if there was some public benefit to any of that, is there a way to alleviate the drainage for all of that area?
Well, I'd have to look at it. I believe the ideal was to stick a structure somewhere right basically in front of that house at the low point, which would alleviate the water from going over the road, creating that ice that we have in the winter. We've all seen it. So any water you take out of the ground or capture from going into the ground is going to benefit the houses around.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to give, since I'm not at the office and can't pull those documents, I'm going to just give Jason a call tomorrow and see if he can just send it to us again. I'm sure he files all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
That'll be the quickest way to get to the.
Yeah, I might have it on email still too.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
And stay in touch with us. I'm mayor@cloudlakevillage.org. And if you shoot me an email, I'll keep you posted on what we find.
Okay,
great. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, Bob. Did you have
Yes.
something? Did you want to say something? It highlighted your name for some reason.
Oh, no,
Okay.
nothing to say.
Anyone else before we move into attorney-client session?
I do. Can I say something?
Oh, yep.
I just have a simple question. We're kind of new here. I've been here less than a year. Some of the streets have no parking on the street signs. Is there like an ordinance in the village that there is absolutely zero parking on the street in any street? Or, because you know how narrow everything is here. Some people park on the street, can't get out of your driveway. Just curiosity question.
We have a local law which prohibits any parking, which would mean even 2 tires, on village pavement, with the exception of one side of Saratoga Avenue and certain portions of Andrews Avenue.
Okay, that answers it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you all. And I will boot everybody off and we will go into attorney-client session. So that's it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good evening, everybody.
Good night.
Just say goodbye.
Good night. Good night, John Boy. Good night, Mary Ellen.
See everybody later.
Hey, Grandma.
See ya.
Should John stay?
Did you say
Yeah.
goodbye?
No, no, no
I
need.
said goodbye.
All right. Yeah, okay. All right. We're gonna close out.
Who's okay, they're gone.
Hang on, let me stop recording.
Who was that person anyway?
Recording again. So the decision is to give a 2-month grace period with the same penalties being implemented, 5% followed by the normal increments.
Starting September 1, yeah.
Yes, starting September 1st.
Sounds good. Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank
Be
you.
healthy.
Good night, everybody.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Where do I get it? Here.